Hello students, Jai Swaminarayan. Today we continue with the construction project cost and value management chapter, unit number 7, cost codes. वो क्या होता है? Okay, so code is the standardization of the letters, numbers, words or symbols. That means कोई item है और फॉर एग्जांपल कोई मटेरियल का रेट है तो उसका फॉर एग्जांपल मिशन चाहिए या तो उसका रेट कितना है। मटेरियल कोई फॉर एग्जांपल ब्रिक्स का है, ब्रिक्स है तो उसका नोटेशन होता है कि इसको इस नोटेशन से दिखाओ, उसका रेट ये है। ओके, तो उसमें symbols, words, symbols for representation of the various items of the work, so that okay, the items can be identified without writing the full description of the items every time. That means इस item के related various items of work है उसको letters, numbers, words और symbols से indicate किया होता है। Okay, cost code is the code assigned to an activity for which a particular cost is incurred. Cost codes are allocated by the planning department depending upon the nature of the activity at the site. जो भी nature of activity हो उसके हिसाब से cost code में cost particular item के लिए allocate किया होता है। Okay, item और activity के लिए the cost code should be such that they are easily compatible with the bill of the quantity. Okay, the number of the cost code should be neither too large or nor too small. That means cost code में जो भी number of cost codes होते हैं वो बहुत ज़्यादा भी नहीं होने चाहिए और बहुत कम भी नहीं होने चाहिए. All the expenses incurred in for the project should be recorded in one of the cost code. So all the expenses जितना भी खर्चा होता है incurred in for the project should be recorded in one of the cost code. Okay, then the companies maintain additional cost code for the staging, shuttering, then temporary structures, operating cost of the plant, equipment. Okay, तो companies क्या करती है, additional cost codes बनाती है for the staging and shuttering, then temporary structures, operating cost of plants and equipments, etc. Harris and Miss McCaffer suggests adoption of not more than 15 cost codes under the cross-grain system. If there are 30 cost codes in a project, about 2% items are misallocated, while for a project with a 200 cost code, about 50% items are misallocated. The activity cost codes are widely circulated to the जो कॉस्ट कोड होता है, एक्टिविटी कॉस्ट कोड होता है, दैट इज सर्कुलेट करना होता है टू द ऑथराइज प्रोजेक्ट स्टाफ सो दैट द करेक्ट एलोकेशन ऑफ द कॉस्ट टू द डिफरेंट कॉस्ट कोड्स इज अचीव्ड. द कॉस्ट कोड्स आर आल्सो कॉल्ड द कॉस्ट हेड्स. Cost statement. The costing is the method of collecting the expenses at the project site under various heads of the account called the cost codes. Okay, the cost codes are to be finalized at the beginning of the job and communicated to all the section heads at the job site. The cost codes are to be finalized at the beginning. Cost codes हम डिसाइड करते हैं कि ये कॉस्ट कोड यूज करना है at the beginning of the job and communicated to all the section heads at the job site. जो भी जॉब साइट पे व्यक्ति है जो भी काम कर रहा है दैट इज रिलेटेड टू द प्रोजेक्ट उसको वो कॉस्ट कोड कम्युनिकेट करना पड़ता है. द फॉलोइंग सिस्टम इज अडॉप्टेड इन द प्रिपेयरिंग द कॉस्ट स्टेटमेंट. Cost codes are allotted. Collect the cost related information such as labor cost, material cost, plant equipment cost, subcontractor cost, overhead cost. एक यानी फॉर एग्जांपल प्रोजेक्ट है तो प्रोजेक्ट में आपको कॉस्ट कोड जो भी आपने डिसाइड किया है वो आपको स्टाफ को कम्युनिकेट, जो भी जॉब प्रोजेक्ट रिलेटेड स्टाफ है उसको कम्युनिकेट करना पड़ता है जॉब साइट पे, और जिससे उसको पता चलता है कि इसका ये रेट है, इसका ये रेट है. ओके, तो उसके हिसाब से पर्टिकुलर आइटम के लिए कॉस्ट फिक्स होता है. उस पे टोटल प्रोजेक्ट जो भी है उसका कॉस्ट डिपेंड करता है. Determine the provision for the expenses, that means cost of operation. Determine deferred expenses, that means cost जो भी हमने फाइंड आउट किया उसमें कितना डिफरेंस, जो भी हमने पहले डिसाइड किया था उसमें और इसमें कितना डिफरेंस आता है. कंपाइल अबाउ कॉस्ट इन अबाउ गिवन फॉर्मेट, फाइनलाइज टोटल कॉस्ट कोड वाइज एंड अराइव एट द प्रोजेक्ट कॉस्ट. कंपाइल अबाउ कॉस्ट इन द गिवन फॉर्मेट, फाइनलाइज द टोटल कॉस्ट, जो भी है कोड वाइज टोटल कॉस्ट कितना होता है, एंड अराइव एट द प्रोजेक्ट कॉस्ट. तो फॉर एग्जांपल टिपिकल कॉस्ट स्टेटमेंट यहाँ पे दिया हुआ है, आप देख सकते हो. कॉस्ट कोड कौन सा है, 2010 2020. तो उसमें एक्सकेवेशन, दैन कॉन्क्रीटिंग, उसका लेबर कॉस्ट इतना है, कॉन्क्रीटिंग कॉस्ट इतना है, सब कॉन्ट्रैक्टर कॉस्ट इतना है, दैन कॉन्क्रीटिंग में सब कॉन्ट्रैक्टर कॉस्ट इतना है. तो यानी अलग अलग पर्टिकुलर आइटम के लिए कॉस्ट कोड अलग अलग होता है, उसका यूज करके हमें टोटल कॉस्ट ऑफ द प्रोजेक्ट फाइंड आउट करना होता है. Value management in the construction. The value engineering is defined as the systematic, objective, and analytical approach to effectively identify unnecessary cost जो भी होता है construction में, तो वो find out करना. Okay. So value engineering is defined as systematic, objective, and analytical approach to effectively identify the unnecessary cost in the construction. It is also known as a value management or value analysis. Unnecessary costs are those which do not provide any enhanced quality. Unnecessary costs क्या है, तो that is which do not provide, क्या प्रोवाइड नहीं करता है, तो वो enhance quality, appearance, utility, improve life, etc. It is estimated that by adopting value management techniques, okay, so saving up to 5 to 20% on large construction project can be achieved. तो आप unnecessary cost को सेविंग अप टू 5 to 20% जो भी है वैल्यू इंजीनियरिंग, और जो भी लॉस हो रहा है वो आप 5 to 20% जो भी वैल्यू इंजीनियरिंग की वजह से और वैल्यू मैनेजमेंट की वजह से लॉस होता है वो आप घटा सकते हो. The term used in value engineering are worth, cost, and value. Worth refers to the least cost required to provide the function that are required by the user of the finished project. Cost is the total amount. This one is called the least amount, and this one is called total amount of money required to obtain and use the functions. Value is the relationship of the worth and cost as realized by the owner. Okay, so relationship of worth to cost, and the ratio of worth to cost is the principal measure of the value. The worth refers to the least cost required to provide the functions that are required by the user of the finished project. Value management in the construction. The value index is equal to worth divided by cost is equal to utility divided by cost. Value index can be increased by improving the utility with no change in cost, retaining the same utility for the least cost, combining improved utility and the least cost. The situation in which the worth and cost are equal represents fairness of the deal, while the situation in which the worth and cost are equal represents fairness of the deal, while the situation in which the worth of the project is more than the cost paid represents a situation good bargain. The worth of the project is more than the cost paid represents a situation good bargain. The situation in which the worth is less than the cost, इसमें worth और cost का difference समझाया गया है. तो for example दोनों equal है, तो that is fairness of the deal बोल सकते हैं. While the situation in which the worth of the project is more than the cost paid represents the situation of a good bargain. Then the situation in which the worth is less than the cost paid for the project represents a poor value. An optimum value is obtained when all the utility criteria are met at the lowest overall cost. Okay. Value engineering can be applied to any phase of a construction project. To the best results may be expected during the initial stage of the project. During the pre-design stage, the owner meets his entire integrated project team and provides inputs and team members across the different functions. Team members across the different functional lines consider the project in a holistic sense. Through the use of the creative techniques and new materials, alternative solutions are developed for the function. In construction industry, production starts after the user defines its needs specifically as part of the exercise of the eliminating the wastage. In construction industry, the production starts after the user defines its need specifically as a part of exercise of eliminating the wastage. In such as such, each activity of the production is targeted beard for fulfilling user requirement. वेस्टेज कम होना चाहिए और जो भी हमारी रिक्वायरमेंट है वो फुलफिल होनी चाहिए. The delays and the cost overrun of the construction project lead to decline in the value of the great extent. Therefore, there is a need to move towards fast-track construction approach. The design and build approach is an alternative. In this approach, a particular entity forges a single project with the owner to provide for architectural, engineering, design, services, and construction. The designer works directly under the project manager, unlike in the traditional design build projects where designer works under the owner and there is no contact between the designer and project manager. Okay. Steps in the application of value engineering in design and build projects are as under. Different plant and non-plant structures are compared. जो भी different plant and non-plant structures are compared with respect to their cost. Only very high cost structures are paid attention. That means आपको देखना चाहिए कि जो भी different plant and non-plant structure जो भी है उसको cost से compare करना चाहिए. ओके, फॉर एग्जांपल प्लांट जिसमें यूज किया है हमने, ओके, तो उसका कॉस्ट कंपेयर करना चाहिए. तो जो भी हायर कॉस्ट स्ट्रक्चर्स है उसमें आपको अटेंशन देना पड़ेगा. विद इन ए गिवन स्ट्रक्चर वेरियस एलिमेंट्स सच एज फाउंडेशन, superstructure, construction, materials aspects are analyzed cost wise. The elements with the cost implications are only explored from the viewpoint of value engineering. A fast diagram is constructed which helps in breaking up the large problem, identifying the basic and secondary functions of the element. Fast represents a Christmas tree breakdown of all the functions involved, and the apex shows the basic function, and the branches shows the secondary functions, and the trunk shows the critical parts. All the possible alternatives are then generated to cater to the function identified in the previous step. Let us assume that for some element, the alternatives generated are x1, x2, x4, x5. The identified alternatives are then evaluated in two stages. In the first stage, the alternatives are evaluated based on their advantages and disadvantages. For example, let us assume that out of 5 alternatives, alternative x3, x4, x5 are selected for the next step of the analysis. Now, in order to select the best alternative from x3, x4, x5, the performance criteria is identified through the literature review or interaction with the experts. The response are asked to give a rating on the 5-point scale, in which 5 represents the extremely important, 4 represents the major important, 3 is important, 2 is minor important, and 1 is slightly important. And the criteria with the highest mean value is rated as first rank, and the criteria with the lowest mean value is rated with the lowest rank. The weights of each criteria then obtained by evaluation matrix. The importance of the one criteria in relation to the another can be measured in terms of 4-point scale, in which 4 represents a major preference, 3 represents medium preference, 2 minor preference, and 1 is slightly preference. And the row scores of each criteria are total by summing up the assigned letters in the matrix. 10th row scores are adjusted to a scale of 1 to 10, wherein 10 is assigned to the criteria with the highest row score. Then the alternative x3, x4, x5 are evaluated against each of the performance criteria, and here the scoring system uses 5-point scale in which 5 represents the excellence and 1 represents the poor. The ranks given by the experts for each alternative. The ranks given by the experts for each alternative are multiplied by the corresponding weight of the criteria, and the resulting scores are calculated. The alternative with highest score is then selected, and the same procedure is adopted for all the elements in a particular structure. Okay, thank you.